Hi everyone, it's Dr. West today. Today I want to talk to you about steps of learning, 7 steps of learning and growth. I love growing as a leader. And if you're watching this video and if you follow me, I'm gonna guess that you do as well. When I get better as a leader, my team gets better, my organization gets better, my family gets better. Whatever I'm leading, my church gets better. Whatever I'm leading is going to get better. So hopefully we are serious about the calling of being a leader. And I really think it is a calling. It can be a calling. It could be also a job and a career. But for me, it's a calling. When you're a leader, you have a chance to impact lives. Yes, you have a chance also to grow the organization, have more success, and make more money. That's fine. But you have a chance to impact lives. In our organization, we have a ministry arm, a foundation. And as I get better, as I oversee that division, and I help the leaders and I serve the leaders leading that division, we're going to reach lives all over the world. So we didn't always have that, but this is something that we've been doing in the last few years. So just giving you this as an example. Get better as a leader, your world will get better. You already know this, but just wanted to remind you of it. So what are the 7 steps? You may already be practicing all 7. If not, let me share them with you, or you can pass on this video to somebody who needs to hear it. If you want to get better, the first step you got to do is exposure to new ideas and new perspectives. You got to be exposed. You got to hear it. A lot of times we're busy doing our work and we're just not challenging our mind, our thoughts with hearing and being exposed to new ideas, new perspectives. We need people to come in our lives and shake us, not physically, but it's fine if it's physical as well. But say, hey, have you thought about this? I need to read a book that shakes my thinking and my perspective about uh, what I'm doing and who I am as a leader. So, what are the disciplines that you're following to be exposed to new ideas and new perspectives? So, for me, it's all about disciplines, not just being disciplined, a disciplined person, fine, that's good, but disciplines. What are some things that I aim to do every day, every month? And yeah, sometimes I not as good, but hopefully I go back to those disciplines. Those are disciplines. So for me, there are 3 that I see most successful leaders in history, or when I look around, they books. You read, you listen to books. Mentors, have people in your life who you love, who you respect, who are going to come into your life and share knowledge with you, share perspective with you, have another pair of eyes with you. Sometimes we're having success, but somebody else from the outside that has wisdom and experience, like, oh, you gotta watch this. If you don't change this, you're gonna head in that direction that is not good. I'm always very interested to see top level athletes that are top in the world, number 1 in the world. They always have coaches. How does that make sense? Okay, they're probably 10 times better than a coach in playing because they need somebody with experience to look at them playing and giving them perspective. So they're giving them perspectives, new ideas, new perspectives, exposure. So books, mentors, and for me, conferences. In a month, I will go to my yearly conference that I've been going to for about 15 years, every year. And I don't know, about 7, 8 years ago, I started taking some of the key leaders in our organizations with me. And it's not cheap. There were many, many times where I couldn't afford it, but I did it anyway. I give priority to growth, to yourself and to your people. Give it priority, give it resources. When you live that kind of a life, I promise you things will change in your life. So exposure, what are the disciplines? You can do other things, not just those 3 things. You can listen to a podcast. I do that as well. You can read or look at TED Talks. Nowadays with the internet, there's many ways to be exposed. But I would consider those 3 as something that they're really very rich in books, mentors, and conferences. All right. Exposure is first. Number 2 is capture. Capture means when you're reading, when you're listening, when you're talking to a mentor, when you're at a conference, are you writing things down? A lot of times I go to conferences or I'm at church, for example, and I see people really into the speaker. And you could tell them, being moved or being super motivated, but they're not writing it. And in my mind, I'm like, they may remember it, but most likely they're not going to remember the lesson. So, what are you writing, and how are you writing it, and where are you writing it? Okay, most people will write it places on pieces of paper. A lot of times we may go to church and they may give us a little paper or whatnot. They'll write it on there. Well, where will that paper end up? You may have a system, but most of the time it's going to end up somewhere on your desk under a bunch of other papers, and you'll never look at it again. So let's capture what we're learning. And the two things that I usually try to do is what I capture. I don't want to capture everything, but I want to capture two things that I want to apply, or I think I want to apply. As I'm hearing it, like, yeah, I want to apply that. Write it. And things that I want to think about. So a lot of times, like, I'm not sure if I want to apply that, but I like to think about that or research that. So I write those down. So I want to challenge you with that, especially whenever you're listening, whenever you're reading. So a lot of times when we read the book, we just highlight, but and then we put the book somewhere. No, take out some things out of the book, write it somewhere. All right, so exposure, capture. Number 3 is file. File is when you organize the notes you take. So you take the notes. So now you've taken good notes, like things you want to apply, things you want to think about. What are you going to do with it? Let's say I'm looking at something I wrote down 5 years ago. So in the last 5 years, I've read a lot of books. I've been to, what happened to all of these notes I took from books, from conferences, from mentors, Where are they? How am I applying them, or did they just disappear into the ether? So we need to take what we're learning and file it. We need to have a system to kind of categorize it and put it usually topically somewhere. There's different ways of doing that. I won't go through that in this video, but come up with a system to organize what you're learning so you can review it. So for me, I have a big document. I call it the Principles of Life. It's very huge right now. It's about 1,500, 600 pages at this point. Been doing it for about 15 years. And I everything I learn that I want to keep and reference, I put it there. So anytime I want to speak, I want to write, I will reference it. And also I put it there, but I also put it somewhere else. That are things that I want to work on right now in my life. Okay. I won't go into great depth into this right now, but create some kind of system for you that what you're learning is categorized. It doesn't disappear on your desk or in your life or in your memory. Okay. Number 4 is reflect. So exposure, capture, file, reflect. Reflect. All that means is reread what you're learning. Reread it. Think about it. Write about it. So if we hear an amazing idea, and the only time we hear it is when we first hear it, and then we never hear it or see it again, guys, it's not about the knowledge, or it's not about hearing. It's about being transformed. How are we going to be transformed is if I hear it, I get motivated, and then I forget it. Forget about transformation. So this idea that I started with, that I shared with you, to grow your organization, grow your people, to grow your people, grow yourself. That was, I wrote it, I reviewed it, and I keep reviewing it, and now I'm sharing it with you, and it's part of who I am. It's part of how I run my leadership. So, okay, reflect. Number 5 is share. Okay, I'm sharing what I know with you today. One is I want to bless you, and I feel like this is a part of my purpose in life to help Christian leaders. And so I hope what I share blesses you. But part of why I share with you, or one of the side effects or one of the benefits of sharing with you, it gets cemented and goes deeper in me. So when you share something with others, first you hear yourself articulate it. Sometimes when you try to articulate it and it just doesn't land quite right, maybe you need to refine how you articulate it so you can remember it better and you can apply it better. There are a lot of benefits to sharing, but it is definitely one in my life, one of the steps of growth. When you share something, you will grow more, and you will remember it more, and it will be part of you. If you read my article about being having knowledge inculcated, kind of just, it just kind of goes into you more and more. And number 6 and 7, apply and measure. So of course, the point is we want to be transformed. We don't want just, as my mentor Pastor Peter says, it is the key formula is application, uh, information plus application equals transformation. Uh, Information is not the goal. Having more information in your head is not the goal. Transformation is the goal. We want to be transformed. We want to grow. We want to be more mature. We want to. So between information and transformation, you got to have application. So we got to apply it. We got to put it into practice. And then what I mean by measure, number 7, of course you can have charts and different things, but simply ask people around you. Do you feel that I am getting better in this area? Have some sort of a feedback to know if you're getting better. So thank you for listening to these. These are very important steps that we do. You don't have to follow exactly all the details that I'm talking about, but the principle is there. We've got to be exposed to new ideas. We've got to capture it. We've got to file it, reflect it, share, apply, and measure. Thank you, guys.